For years, I kept getting stuck in the same old cycle. Restrict, lose weight, lose control, rebound, start again. I thought it meant I didn't have what it takes, or I'm not disciplined enough to build the body that I want, but I was wrong. This is my entire fitness journey from age 15 to age 26, and everything in between. I'll put the chapters on the screen so you know what to expect and you can click through. Age 15, little Lozzie joined the gym. I actually come from a really sporty family. My mum and dad are into fitness, my brother and sister are into fitness. We all grew up doing loads of activities, literally every activity under the sun: dancing, tennis, skiing, netball, gymnastics, you name it, and this family were doing it. So I joined the gym with my mum when I was 15. She always loved it, she raved about it. She said, come, it made you feel really good. And it did. I did classes, I really enjoyed it. Made me feel good, helped with my mood, which I really struggled with. As a teenager, I was very, very hormonal and I struggled badly with PMS, like really low volatile moods. So the gym really helped me, going to classes really helped me. Although at this point I did not know anything. I didn't know anything about nutrition. I didn't know anything about weight training. I was always too scared to go into the weights room. So my first few years in the gym were either going to a class with my mum or I would do a little cardio session, and it was literally 15 minutes on the treadmill, 15 minutes on the Stairmaster, and 15 minutes on the bike, and 10 minutes of abs. And that was my workout. My body didn't change, physique didn't change, didn't build any muscle, but I got into the habit. I learned what exercise does for me, how good it makes me feel. My mum always did lots of home cooking, everything's made from scratch. So I ate healthy, I was exercising, but still nothing was changing. And as I'm sure you know, that is not enough. We need some structure, we need some progression, we need some weight training in there, we need some structure with nutrition, which is what I learned much later down the line. So a few years later, I actually plucked up the courage to venture into the weights room, which was very daunting at first, but went to quite a small gym, not many people in there was actually a lot of old people in there, so it gave me the confidence to just go and try out all the machines. I would follow workouts online, again still eating really healthy at home, but physique wasn't really changing. It was only when I went to uni I actually got into calorie tracking, so I started to track my calories. I would track calories all year round, was quite a health conscious student apart from all the drinking. Because it's quite contradictory. I would train my arse off at the gym, push myself really hard, actually really enjoyed training, although when I look back, my sessions were just way too overcrowded. Did not need to be doing literally 7 or 8 exercises in a leg day, 4 sets of everything. Everything was about pushing myself to an absolute extreme, which I know now I don't need to do. I wasn't actually recovering from these sessions. I was doing about 3 leg days a week and still my body wasn't really changing. I was frustrated. Even though I was like the gym girl, I didn't really feel like I had the body to match that or the body that I wanted. And when I look back, I was actually quite obsessive with tracking calories. I would always be in a deficit, even though drinking alcohol would take me out of that deficit. And I was quite controlled by it, so I eat perfectly Monday to Friday, and then I would let myself eat ice cream and literally be it. It was like a switch that I would flip in my mind, and I would go to Tesco, buy those Fox's biscuits, buy just loads of sweets and treats, and literally eat them in my room and binge. And no one knew about it, apart from me. So that actually went on for quite a few years at uni. I would come home from uni, still quite obsessive with everything, always overthinking food, always feeling anxious at events that I had coming up. So if it was someone's birthday at the weekend, I'd always be thinking ahead of that, like, oh well, I'm going to ruin it all this weekend, I'm going to fall off track. So I could never actually switch off from food, never switch off from tracking calories. When I was at an event, I would always end up binging, overeating. I literally remember being at my friend's 21st birthday, and because of the way that I was living, when I was at her birthday, I literally binged on all of the cake. So I'd had a few drinks, I was a bit drunk, you lose control when you drink, and I literally just kept eating and eating all of this cake. And she was like, Lauren, where's all the cake gone? I was like, yeah. So that was obviously not a nice feeling. I didn't want to feel out of control around food. I didn't want to dread my best friend's 21st because I knew I wouldn't be on track with food. So it wasn't a healthy mindset that I was living in. And I actually lived like that for quite a few years. For all of my uni lifestyle, it was just this constant swing of being on track, being good for a few days, either going out to drink or the weekend would come. I wouldn't drink, but I would still go off the rails, binge, fall off track, feel guilty, feel bad about myself, and not understand like how can I actually break this cycle. So then I came home to do a master's degree, which is in health psychology, and I did that in my hometown. So I lived at home with my parents, wasn't going out at all, wasn't drinking, literally worked at Lidl at the time, worked as a customer assistant at Lidl because I was saving to go travelling. So I was focused, really focused on smashing my masters. So stress was very high. I also had some problems with my Achilles, went through hell there if I'm honest, and this is when I actually realised how much I use food to cope with stress. So stress was through the roof. I mean, breakdowns every single week, in tears, like, can't do this anymore. My mum would be like, just quit then, Lauren. And I just will not give up at things. So weathered the storm, actually got a distinction class masters, did exceptionally well, but gained about £10 in my master's degree from pure stress eating. I would literally go to the vending machine whilst doing my coursework assignments and buy like 4 different chocolate bars, like Maltesers, Boost Bar, all of them, and then just sit at the desk and eat them all for a bit of relief. And I actually remember doing that so many times. That was a really emotional year for me. It was very, very stressful. Like I said, I had the master stress, and then I was also very restricted in the gym. I was having lots of problems with my Achilles, which no one understood. I literally saw that many professionals, had an MRI on my Achilles. It was pain in both of my Achilles tendons. So I was very restricted, couldn't really train legs, could literally do like leg extension, leg curl. So I found that very depressing at the time. Again, my mindset wasn't quite where it is now. I didn't know how to adapt in that situation, did not know how to regulate emotions, how to manage stress, which are all so important when it comes to your food choices, when it comes to adapting in the gym. So that was a very hard time. Gained about £10. Then for the second half of the masters, I remember it was a new year, so it was January, and I thought, I just cannot live like this anymore. I was actually driving myself insane, like all the stress eating, all the binging, complaining about the Achilles, which was obviously stressful, but I wasn't helping myself. So I literally decided I cannot do this anymore, and I lost weight in a healthy way. And then I actually decided to do something different now, because I thought I cannot keep going round and round in these circles, losing weight, putting it back on, losing weight, putting it back on. So this was a very, very big point in my journey. And I actually stopped tracking calories. So I lost the weight, got to a shape that I wanted to. Again, my shape wasn't really changing. My body always looked the same. It was frustrating, but I'd lost the weight and I thought, I'm not going back there again. So I actually went cold turkey on tracking calories after, I don't know, it must have been 5 years, 4 or 5 years of constantly tracking, more or less. So I decided to go cold turkey on tracking calories and learn how to eat intuitively. And this was also my plant-based era. Had a little plant-based era, guys, okay, and it still lives on. Still eat lots of plant-based foods at the moment, but I do eat meat and dairy now, and I felt unreal. So for 6 months, this was before I went to travelling, for 6 months I was eating plant-based, was not tracking calories, was actually eating at true maintenance, because I didn't gain weight, I just gained muscle. This was the first time that I'd ever stayed consistent outside of a diet. So I wasn't on a diet, I was just being consistent, just eating whole foods, literally just eating when I was hungry, stopping when I was full, not doing all the things I used to do, like banning foods. I would let myself have a little bit of ice cream. So I was doing all these things, and this is when I actually saw some progression in the gym. My physique finally looked like I work out. You can see it in my arms, you can see it in my legs, you could see it in my back at the gym. I was getting stronger in the gym, had more energy, I was enjoying it more, I was recovering well, I felt more at ease around foods. I wasn't binging all the time, I wasn't falling off, I wasn't constantly needing to go back to dieting and tracking calories. This was like the first time in years where I actually felt in control around food, and I actually liked my body, and all of my hard work paid off at the gym. I actually stayed at this point for quite a few years, which I think is massively underrated. Most women are either dieting or they're off the diet, and then they think to build some muscle they need to go on this big crazy bulk, when actually you would get so much more out of your physique. You'd get so much more out of building your habits if you actually committed to a maintenance phase and actually just maintaining your weight without all the rigorous dieting, without rigorous tracking. So I stayed here for a couple of years, just building strength in the gym, building some muscle in the gym, and just getting consistent with all of my eating habits. This is when I actually started my account on Instagram. I was feeling good about myself, wanted to share the message, spread some positivity, so I actually started my fitness account, which used to be Lozzie Fitness. Which is what all my family still call me for some reason, literally call me Lozzie Fitness, but it's not Lozzie Fitness anymore, it's Coach Lauren Round. So now I was in the coaching industry, I'd got my qualifications, started coaching people, and I committed to a photo shoot with the aim of getting in the best shape of my life. That was my goal. I wanted to get in the best shape of my life. I wanted to get abs, and I was willing to do whatever it took. I had a coach at the time, and I said, what is it going to take? Just tell me and I will go and do it. So that is what I did. I was doing this photo shoot prep for 4 months, and for the last 2 months it was very extreme, not sustainable at all. I'm talking 15,000 steps a day, 60 minutes of cardio a day. I would literally go on the Stairmaster for 60 minutes, or I would go cycling around my house up through the lanes and cycle 25 kilometres at 6:30 in the morning like a crazy woman, and still do 15,000 steps on top of that. And my calories were 1,500 for a while, then they dropped to 1,300. When I say extreme, that's what I mean when I say extreme. So the cost of this was very high. I was, I suppose, naive at the time, did not realise that's what it would take for me to get abs, to get such low body fat, but that is what it takes. Yes, if you're a woman with a bit more muscle, you might be able to diet on lower calories, but you will still need to go extremely low to be at a very low body fat. That is just how it works. We store more body fat as women, and so if you want to get lean, as in very lean, then it takes a lot of work. It's often not sustainable without building more muscle mass. Cycle actually became irregular. I think my cycle went to, it was like 60 days. Again, not healthy. Your period is literally your body's report card. It tells you everything you need to know. This is very alarming. It tells you that things are massively out of whack, and your reproductive system will shut down when you're not getting the energy that you need, because you don't need that to survive. So it will just turn it off, which is why your cycles become irregular. I was also literally starving, didn't have any energy, couldn't focus on like my daily business tasks, and I was really lonely, like isolated myself from friends and family. Yes, it was only short term, but it has much bigger impacts than that. After the shoot, I felt really out of control. I felt like my food noise that I'd worked so hard to overcome literally came back with a vengeance. And I started to hate the gym. I think I'd just overdone it that much. I was like, what is all this for? I wanted to reach this goal to prove to myself that I could do it, which I did. I learned so many valuable skills: persistence, how to actually commit to a goal, how to actually focus, what it actually takes, how to regulate your emotions, show up when you don't want to, when you're not in the mood, when you've got a really low mood, when you've got no patience, no energy, no nothing in the tank, but I still showed up every single day and did those things. So it was very, very valuable for me in that sense. But for me, it just kind of felt a bit shallow, like I'm doing all this, what, to just look a certain way? So the costs were very high for that. So not something I would do again. Afterwards, I did struggle with my body image. You're always comparing yourself to that unrealistic version of yourself, which I can't sustain all year round. And like I said, afterwards I did struggle with binging. I just felt out of control with food. I was always thinking about food and always like nitpicking it, like worrying about gaining weight, which I did gain weight because that weight's not sustainable for me. So I did gain a bit of weight. I gained a little bit more. I was also struggling with a lower back injury at this point as well from overtraining. Everything got a little bit messy again in my journey, which happens because no one's journey is linear. as I'm sure you've noticed so far from listening to this, it literally, you will go up, you will go back down, you'll go side to side, all the way around just to get to that point. So hopefully by watching this, I can reduce some of those ups and downs for you. But then it's still not going to be linear, okay? That's just life. That is how this stuff works. So after that, I went back to previous habits of eating intuitively, maintaining my weight. It did take me a while to get out of that mindset of all the food noise, all the feeling out of control. So that actually took a lot of work. Did knock my confidence as well, because I felt like someone who couldn't stick with things again, even though I know that I can. It was just too unsustainable for me. And I was really struggling at this time mentally with my lower back. So I had literally seen that many professionals about my lower back: physios, podiatrists, osteopath. I had an MRI, a sports massage. Is there anyone else that I've missed? I went to the hospital, nearly got diagnosed with this condition, a spondylitis. I'm gonna have to put it on the screen, I don't know what it is. Literally inflammation of the spine, and I thought, surely I cannot have that. So that was a very stressful time. Lost my confidence in the gym because everything was hurting, everything would flare my lower back up. It was also making me anxious because your body remembers things that have flared your back up. So I remember the hip thrust was like a huge trigger, because my back was feeling okay, then I would go on the hip thrust, not like overdoing it, just literally going on and putting a bit of weight on, and then I would have a flare up. So then I feel anxious. I was in this headspace for a lot of 2025, so this is last year, until I signed up with another coach who is big on rehab. So I've been working with him ever since, and again, I'm back to feeling like myself again. I had to do so much work in the gym around just breaking all of that anxiety, building my strength up again, building my confidence up again, working on different movement patterns and weaknesses to relieve the lower back pain, which I don't really struggle with anymore after literally about 2.5 years. So now we're in a great spot. I did just do another fat loss phase because I wanted to do a bit of a tidy up from some of the weight that I gained post-shoot, but also I was just feeling a little bit fluffy. So now the place that I'm at, I'm in a good place with my lower back, I'm in a good place with my body, absolutely love how I'm looking at the moment, love how I'm feeling as well. So I'm 2 months post-diet, so I've also done a bit of a reverse. Again, something that a lot of us miss is that piece after the diet. And if you do a diet that's so extreme, like for that photo shoot, this is where you are at risk of falling off track without the right support, because you do need to come out of that diet with a strategic phased approach. We can't just go from all the structure to having no structure. That's when things start to unravel, which is the cycle that I've worked so hard to break, because I've literally been through it over 15 times over the last few years. But my approach to food now is still similar in the health conscious choices that I make. So I eat lots of whole foods, but I don't have such strict rigid rules around food that I used to, like trying to eat everything 100% whole foods, banning foods till the weekend, banning foods altogether, dreading birthdays. I don't have that approach anymore. I literally look forward to events and birthdays and weddings and just meeting up with friends. I look forward to that because I know that doesn't mean I'm off track. I know I don't need to feel guilty about that. I know how to make a good choice without feeling bad. I know how to adapt to that in each phase that I'm in. So I don't have this fear and anxiety around food anymore. I don't binge anymore. I do have to work very hard to manage my stress. I think that is always something that I will struggle with, especially being a business owner, but I know what I need to do now instead of turning to food. So we have done the full circle. The next stage for me is a building phase, which I am so excited about. I wanted to do this for years, and then I had all the stuff with the back pain, which has kind of held me back, but not anymore. So that is what's in store for me this year. I'm still doing a bit of a reverse, taking my time there, and next steps is to build some more muscles. Not upper body though. I'm actually very happy with my upper body development. It is my lower body, which I really want to focus on, especially glutes, because I feel like my quad game is very strong and glutes just need a bit of work. So I want to get stronger in the gym, take up a bit more space, be a bit bigger, which is something that always used to scare me, which is why I would always diet. It's why women always diet over and over again. One, because we get stuck in these cycles, but also because of that fear of actually eating more, fear of getting bigger, fear of gaining muscle and looking bulky, which again takes years. It's not going to happen without steroids, so you don't need to worry about that. That is my journey in a nutshell. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you can take one thing from it so you can actually not repeat all those mistakes that I have made. If you like this video, then I post one every single week all about sustainable fitness, nutrition, and the mindset that you need to build the body that you want. So subscribe for more and follow me over on Instagram. And I'll see you in the next one.